Welcome all to the third webinar or the third session of Oracle Application Testing Suite. Here in this session, we shall discuss more about Oracle OpenScript. Now, in the previous sessions, we have understood that OpenScript is one of the functional testing tool which can be used for automation, and that is automation of functionalities and for regression testing. Now we had also understood in the previous session what is automation of functionalities and what are the challenges in regression testing. Now, to overcome that, we also had discussed, what are the different components of OATS, and henceforth we call Oracle Application Testing Suite as OATS, and the different components of OATS. One is OpenScript, one is load testing, test manager, and test administrator. Administrator, we understood that it was helping us to manage all the accounts, the details of all the accounts, like the users, access, privileges, etc. And test manager, which would help us to put all our test cases, may it be manual or may it be automation, put all our test cases together. May it be a load testing test script or a functional test script or a manual test script or any other test script for that matter. It can be organized under one roof. That is the test manager. And Oracle load testing basically to perform the performance testing like the scalability, the performance, the stress, the volume, load, etc. So all those things we can do using the Oracle load testing component. And for all those things, the prerequisite would be a stable build of the application. And for that, we had something called Oracle OpenScript. Now, let us see, we had explored a little bit about OpenScript, getting started with Oracle OpenScript. We had explored a little bit like what is the tester's perspective, what are the different perspectives of the application, and we had also seen what are the different views available, what is this workbench, how do I create a new project, and in a new project, how do I create a new script. We had seen all those things in the day 2 video. If you want to know more about what all we had discussed in the day 1 and day 2 video, you can quickly check out the YouTube for IT eLearn courses, that is the OATS videos, and you can find them. That is, in the first video we had discussed about what is the Oracle entire OATS suite, and in the second video we had discussed a little more about the OpenScript tool. Now today we'll see about what are the different assets of the OpenScript tool. Now basically, if you see, there are 4 different assets here, that is the data bank, object libraries, jar files, and script files, right? So let us take it one by one. Okay, so data bank. Now we had already seen that what is parameterization. In day 2 video, I had just mentioned a little about parameterization. Now, for example, parameterization is nothing but replacing a static input data with dynamic data. That is, for example, if I record for login and I give the username and I give the password. So what actually happens is the username and password, whatever we enter at the record time, okay, whatever we enter at the record time, now this will become static as it is getting recorded and the data is getting hard-coded, right? So in the real time, it is very important that we do not log in only with the one set of credentials, that is one username and one password. So what we have to do is we have to go for parameterization. And when we parameterize, that is, when we have a static data and when we replace that with dynamic data, we have to give it a source. Okay, so we have to provide a data source for that application, for that inputs. Okay, so now how do we provide the input? That is the question, right? And this OATS, that is the OpenScript Okay, this is 12.3 version. Okay, this version helps us to get the inputs from the CSV file or a TXT file. Okay, so now let's see how to create a CSV file. So basically I'll go ahead, I'll go to Microsoft Excel, and I say that this is my username field, okay, and this is my password field. Okay, and suppose according to the requirements, let's say that it is taking now let us enter only valid data, and we'll see how to create a CSV file for this. Yeah, so I'll just give some inputs here. Let me say ABC, and the password is also the same thing, and AB12345, and the password is also AB12345, something like this. I have added only 2 sets of data here. I can give any number of inputs. There is no restriction and how many inputs I enter here. And I just go, and when I save this, I have to be very careful that what is the format I am saving. So you can see that I have separate formats, one CSV for Macintosh and one CSV for MS-DOS. Now this is MS-DOS, it is not a Mac machine, so I have to use this, and let me save this as data.csv. Okay, yes, it has taken this, but I am explicitly mentioning the extension, and I'm going to save that on my desktop, right? So save it. Currently, okay, it's saving. I can't. Okay, it is saving. It is saying I can't have multiple sheet. I can have only one sheet at a time. Fair enough. I need only one sheet here. So let me go and check. Yeah. So let me go and check how it has created. So this is my data.csv file, right? When I open it, currently it is opening in a Excel format itself, but it will read it in a comma separated values, that is CSV, right? So now let us see how to associate now. What we have seen is, first we have seen how to create a CSV file which acts as a data source, okay, and second, let's see how to associate the CSV file, okay, as our data bank. Remember the first asset of OpenScript, right? So that was the data bank, right? So now let us see how to associate that. I'm going to the OpenScript tool. I'm going to the assets part of it. I'm going to the data bank, and here I have to say add. Yeah, so now you can see that it is giving me access to 2 different files. One is the CSV type of files, and the other one is the database. Database we shall see, because we had to create one MS Access file or any other Oracle file or SQL Server file, any other data sources, and name it as the DB file, and then I can associate that here. So currently we had created one CSV file, so I'm taking the CSV file, and okay, I just have to say what is the file name? It was data, okay, and relative to a saved repository, file is not in any repository. Okay, so we know the saved path of that. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, I had to save it in this particular path. Do you see that here? Do you see that here? The path of it, C drive, Oracle OATS, that is OFD, and data bank. If you can see here, let me take you to that path. C drive, Oracle ATS, I have OFT here, and I have the data bank here, right? So before starting the Oracle OpenScript, if I had created this Excel sheet, now whatever the data.csv I have here, this had to be created in this particular path. And even now if I add this here, okay, let me try doing this, but okay, what I'm doing is I'm copying this to the particular path. Okay, you can see that here. I have to take customer data, FM stocks and search, and you can also see that these are the four CSV files which is being listed here again in my repository. Let me try adding that here. Yeah. Okay. So now let us see. See, I told you, right? It wouldn't be added yet. Okay, let me try doing this again. But I'm sure it wouldn't be added. Okay, fine. It is added. Data.csv. So usually what happens is at the time of loading, at the time of loading the software itself, it's better that we plan all these things, create all the data files and put it here, so that at the time of loading itself it will load all these data. Okay, now it is working. In the previous versions at least it was not working like this. In the latest version it is working like this. So now what I have done is I have associated the data.csv file repository. You can see that the data file has been added to this repository. Now let me try to open some script. Okay, this is the JavaScript recorded data. Okay, so I do not have any scripts as of now. Yeah, I do not have any scripts as of now. So okay, there is some version problem here. Let me try recording it. Yeah, this is a new script, and okay. Oh, okay, it has opened for JavaScript. Okay, so I see one question which is raised meanwhile. Let me does the suite test for other Oracle-based applications like Oracle 11g, Oracle SOA? Yes, Romy, it will. It will test all these. That is the best part of Oracle application testing suite. Okay, so what I was trying to do is I was just trying to launch my virtual PC where I had the scripts recorded, because here what is my operating system here, this operating system is Windows 7. Okay, and the recorders what I have here, that was not supporting for Windows 7. Okay, so this is Windows XP which I had created in my virtual machine. Let's see, here I have some scripts. I'll just tell you how to add these data banks to our existing script and how to parameterize that. And also if we want to see about the other assets, okay. Yeah, so I'm just trying to launch my virtual PC so that I can show you a script which is recorded. So as I had told you, there are certain problems with the Windows 7, and what has happened in my machine is I have Windows 7 as the software, and whatever the browsers I'm using, IE, it is the latest version, that is IE 10, and Mozilla also is it also supports Firefox, and that is also the latest version. So I have the 29 version. But the release which I have, the OATS release which I have in my machine installed, it supports only Windows XP, the release, and it also supports only IE 7 or IE 8 only. Okay, and the latest version is also supporting Chrome, but yeah, let's see. So that is why I'm switching to the virtual PC. Okay, so here you can let me start that first. Meanwhile, I'll also create what do you say, the data bank. Let us go to this C drive and see if I have anything. If not, we can create it quickly. Right. So let us not waste time. Let us understand. It is because it's a virtual PC. It's a little slow. It will take a of time to start it. Okay. Meanwhile, let us understand. Now we have seen how to create a CSV file, how to associate the CSV file to the data bank. Okay. So now the third step, what we had to do is we had to parameterize. That is, we had to replace the static data with the dynamic data. So for that, I'm just switching to my virtual PC and starting that OpenScript application. It will take certain amount of time. So meanwhile, let us go ahead and understand the next important component of assets. So the second component of asset was your scripts or the functions. Okay, it is not in any order. I'm just saying according to the priorities. Okay, so the first thing was the data source, and the second important thing is the functions. Okay, there is one more. Let us see that also. That is called object repository. Okay, now what is object repository? If you have worked with any other automation tools before, okay, and let me cut this and put it here. Okay, so object repository. Now what is an object? We have also seen in the D1 video, I have explained about what is a web-based element, what's a web-based application, and how any automation tool, it is important for us to understand whether it recognizes all the objects or not. So I'm just checking out for the data bank. Yes, I have certain data banks here, that is Evitech, customer. These are the 4 by default ones. Okay, and here it is giving the CSV in a different format. If you see that the representation is in a different format, because in my virtual machine I do not have MS Office installed. Okay, so here what happens is, if you just open the CSV file, you can see that everything is separated by a comma. Actually, CSV is not the comma separated values, right? So this is the actual representation. Even if we create the Excel sheet, okay, so the values, how is it going to read? It's going to read in this format itself. That is the first value, the second value, like that. Okay, so currently we have one file, but it is, yeah, now it is loading. Okay, so let us see, but I have a script. Let us see how to parameterize that. Okay, so meanwhile we were talking about object repository. All right. It is saying something could not launch the product. Okay, so that means it is starting. Yeah. So in a web page, there are hundreds of web elements. Okay, and so what are these web elements? There are edit boxes, there are radio buttons, okay, there are simply buttons, okay, and we have a link. Link can be a text link, can be a hyperlink, can be a video link. Okay, so you can see in MSN or something, if you just click on that video, it will take you to another place in the same page or in another page, and then starts opening the video. Okay, so these are some of the links, right? So otherwise we have video, we have text information, we have drop down boxes. Okay, we have drop downs, we have list boxes, we have so many types of elements. Okay, now basically for any automation tool, it has to identify all these elements. It has to identify all these elements because our application, you can say our application under test is composed of so many elements there, and when all these elements the automation tool is recognizing, so that is when our automation process will become easy. So, and the best part of OATS and OpenScript is it is built on Java. Okay, so any application which is Java based, okay, so it will easily recognize. If it is with any other technologies, it will recognize, but we cannot ensure how much percentage it will recognize. In the later versions, we're trying to, Oracle is trying to fix all those issues, that is the recognition of objects, etc. So meanwhile, let's see, it has opened the OpenScript. Let us see parameterizing something. Yeah. So let me go for one sample script which I had created earlier. So let me quickly check the questions or chat or anything. So any questions so far, people? No, I don't see any questions also. Fine. Okay, let us give some time later and understand if you have any questions. It is opening. Give me a minute. Okay, let it open. We were understanding the object repository, right? So what happens in a simple automation tool? The first step, you can see that if I talk about STLC for automation, okay, STLC is nothing but the software testing lifecycle for automation tool. Okay, so the first thing is planning. Now what are we planning here? We do not automate 100% of our test cases, right? We automate only certain parts of our test cases. Now what are those certain parts? How are we going to record it? Which automation tool are we using for this, etc. Okay, so that's what we are going to plan there. And second is we simply go for record and playback. Okay, in any automation tool, the first thing what we're going to do is it should support record and playback. Yeah, though in long run we do not go for we do not go for recording only. We do not rely on recording only, but still it should support us for recording and playback. And third thing was we should be able to enhance the test script. Okay, so that means if we have something like parameterization, if we have something like checkpoints, if you have something like retrieving the values from an object page in the runtime, okay, we should be able to gather all those things as an enhancement part. Okay, fourth component is when we execute the test cases, okay, it should be able to give us some kind of reports, okay, which will help us for better analysis. Okay, so these are certain parts of in the STLC automation. And here what are we trying to explore? We are trying to explore the first thing, that is the record and playback feature. Okay, so I had recorded something, but it's not on this time. Okay. Now what I was trying to do is I was trying to get a script where we could do this parameterization. We had created a CSV file. We associated the CSV file also. So the third part what I was trying to do is I was just trying to parameterize this. We'll see if it is possible today. If not, we'll go ahead with the next session. Yeah. Okay, here I have only one step in this scripts. I do not have anything. I could also record quickly, but the thing is here, the net what I am using, it will support only one user at a time, and I have already launched from my host machine, and it wouldn't allow me to launch any of the browsers from the virtual machine. Okay, because that's the type of network I'm using currently. So let me explore quickly if I have anything else in my script. Right, right, okay. So there is some application where I have something called the username, and you can also see here the value, right? So the username, I have entered some value over there, and let us see how to go ahead and parameterize that. You can see that set text box. Forget about the script. What is the script? What is this application? If you had followed the video, or if you can quickly go back to the day 2 video, you can see that we had discussed about one application called Mobile Transact. I also told that this would be the project for us, to get the hands on. Alright, so let's see how to do this. Now I have a value here. I want to replace that. Yeah, I have to just say a right click and say properties there, and this is the text value, right? This is the static value. You can see that in the script it is saying that set text box, right? And you see we had discussed about different objects in a web page. One such object was a edit box. Edit box or a text box lets me enter a value over there. Yeah, so this is the value, and how do I parameterize that? Right, so add a new data bank. You can see here it is asking me add a new data bank. Okay, let us go and add new data bank here. Right, and the supported format is the CSV file again, because we do not have any databases so far. Right, so data bank, you can select which data bank you want to. Okay, so I'll just say it is in my repositories. It is in default. Default, what were the data banks we had? We had something called Epitech. Yeah, okay, it is data bank right here. Okay, so I have it as Avitech or customer or FM stocks or search or anything. So let me take this Avitech one. Okay, and we saw that these were the usernames which was already given. I will choose this is the username which I have to replace. Okay, and then I say finish. Okay, so now you can see that what has happened here. You can see that it is parameterized. That is, it is saying there was a kind of database. Now, what is the kind of database? It's a CSV file. Okay, and what is it? Avitech, right? And the username column of that, right? So that is, previously it was Shah. Now it has been replaced that it has to pick up from the column called username. Similarly, I have to go ahead and do parameterization for password also, and when I execute this script, it will execute for 4 sets of data because my CSV file had 4 sets of input data. right? So this is about parameterization, about executing. Okay, I hope now this is clear. How did we create a CSV file? We created the CSV file using the Excel sheet, and we can also do that using a notepad file, a simple notepad file where we enter the data, we separate it with commas, and when we save that, we save it as .csv extension. Place it in the data bank folder and add it in your data bank with respective to the script. Okay, whichever script you need to associate with, only for that go ahead and associate your data source. Right, and next we saw how to parameterize. Yeah, for this what we had to do is we had to first identify what is the static data, replace that with the dynamic data. Now we have it in our CSV file, and what we did is we told that from which column it has to pick up the data. Right, so this is about parameterization, and I guess the time is also up. We have taken more than half an hour of session. So if you have any quick questions here, you can please put it, and if not, we can go ahead with the session. Let me quickly check if I have any questions over there. Right, so yes, one more question I see here. One question may be not related to this course, but is it possible to use this suite for ESP and middleware applications? Romy, again, yeah, see, you can just see, even if it is an ESP or a middleware application, you have to see what is the compatibility with OATS. Okay, what is the compatibility with OpenScript? Okay, so because usually what happens is the application it may be built with so many constraints. Okay, it may be built with so many other components. Now we have to see which component this particular automation tool is supporting and which it is not. Okay, so it is dependent. We can just give it a try. Okay, I'm not sure about what application you're talking about, but you can just give it a try. I cannot say for that. But for your previous question, Romy, which you have asked, does it support Oracle LavenG and SOA? Definitely, it supports all these things. Yeah, so you can just quickly go the document part of it, and you can. Okay. You have another question. I mean, we use JUnit framework to test middleware. Does OATS has anything supporting? Yes. If it is using JUnit, that's what I said. Like, if it is anything built on Java, any component of Java, yes, you can export definitely export from it. Okay. Yeah, JBoss and WebLogic. Fine. So it is a component. As I see here, it is a component. It is a module of Java itself. So it will definitely extend the support, because I told you basically the OpenScript. What we see the OpenScript here, that is developed, the entire OATS application is developed based on the Java platform. So anything which is built, any application which is built on Java, it will readily support. That's for sure. Okay, yeah, there may be some of the objects which it is not supporting, like say a calendar element or anything, some of the finest element which is not supporting, but we have other methods for the tool to make it identify with the object, to introduce with the object. Okay, so now quickly let us throw some light about this other modules. Yeah, I'll not be explaining in detail because time is up. Okay, object libraries. In this object libraries, what we have, suppose we record a script. Okay, so what happens is all the objects in that particular web application, yeah, it will record and it will store as a repository. Okay, so now that repository we can associate with our script, current script. So what happens is, like say in a real time, okay, we have a project, and for this project there are n number of n teams working on it. Okay, now for every team, say n teams are working in testing itself, automation testing itself. Okay, so for all the teams, it is not necessary that they create one object repository for each team. Okay, so usually what we do is we store all the objects in a centralized repository. centralized repository, and we associate that repository to any of our script, okay, any of our script. So that means our script will not fail because of the objects not present in the repository. Okay, so usually when we see that if I have recorded anything and I have to replay anything, it will look out for the recorded objects, and the replay at the runtime it will look out for the same objects. And if the objects are not there, okay, so then we have a problem with it. So that is why what we do is we quickly associate with the centralized repository. So usually this is done by our senior test managers, who create a repository of all the objects and place that in a centralized location and give access to every individual as per their privileges. Okay, and this is the jar files. Okay, so in this jar file we can again add those jar files which will be helpful for us to execute any of our Java based applications. Yeah, so we were just talking about it, what's a Java based, when we go for a Java based application, we need some jar files to execute them. Yeah, we will see that later in the later sessions in greater details. Okay, so the last and the most important part is the scripts. Okay, so how do you add those scripts? Now, for example, I have certain scripts here. Let me say I have added sample 1. Just watch out what happens when I do all these things. Okay, metric 2. I'm just randomly adding something. Right, so now what has happened here, these are all the child scripts. Okay, so if you know what is a modular driven framework, okay, a modular driven framework on any automation testing, okay, so it is like a driver script. Okay, a driver script is calling for the subscripts, okay, or you can say that it is calling for the child scripts. Okay, and this is what we are going to do in this script, in the assets section, in the script section. Now, when I execute this particular application, okay, when I execute this particular application, what happens is, first it will execute all these statements in this particular script, and then it will go to the assets section. Okay, then it will see that it has to execute sample 1. You can see that the current test is demo 2, right? And it will execute sample 1, it will execute metric, it will execute ABC. So now you can see that it is a framework, it's a modular driven framework. Okay, and demo 2 here, okay, this script, because it is calling other scripts, sample 1, metric, ABC, it is calling other scripts, this becomes the driver script. Okay, so this is one of the unique feature or a best feature of OpenScript, which lets us create the parent script and the child script within the tool, within the workbench itself. If you talk about other tools having this, the frameworks or the modular driven frameworks, we need to rely on some other sources. But here, the best part is everything is housed within the tool itself. Right. So with that, I conclude this particular session. So if you have any doubts, you can please shoot them now. I give you some time to poll your questions. We have understood a little more about OpenScript today, about the assets. We have understood about what are the different sections of an asset. One is the data bank, one is the object library, third was the jar file, and fourth one was the script.